Hi, I'd like to talk about another Eastern Roman general that I found interesting from the 11th century. His name is Nikephoros Karantenos. Now, nothing is really known of him for his birth, and the family name Karantenos really is not mentioned through the Komnenoi um, family for all three emperors. So it's safe to assume that the name just kind of faded out, being of military value. Maybe it shifted to the civil bureaucracy faction, but it's not really mentioned anything of significance going on. He was first recorded as a strategos of military governor of Napoleon near the Adriatic Sea. On July 20, 1032, it's documented that Saracens faced the patrician Karantinos near the allied city of Ragusa, who opposed them and captured many Saracen boats. In March of 1033, Karantinos faced a portion of the large Saracen army invading in Africa and drove many off and captured 500, which he sent to the emperor in chains. The emperor at this time was Romanus III Agraus. Now, Eastern Roman studies separate this Karantinos with another without any sources to prove otherwise, so it could be the same man. The timelines match up for someone to have been as young as Sargos till his supposed death in 1075. He was known for fighting the Bulgarians in the Balkans and the Normans in Italy. He was rewarded for services against the Bulgars with the post of Duke of Skopje. In 1067, under Constantine X, this Constantine X desired to retake the lost cities of Pula, and he sends this Karantinos with the Strategos Mabrakias to Bari. Now together they reconquered Taranto, Castellanata, and Brindisi from the Normans, and a garrison of renegades was established at Brindisi, which he was given the title of Strategos of Brindisi. Now the Normans put Brindisi under siege in 1070, so just after a couple years. Karantinos feigned surrender and then attacked the Normans as they were scaling the walls, which is kind of brilliant. And he ends up defeating them. He beheads 100 corpses, and he crosses the Sea of Durazzo and ships these heads um, back off to Constantinople to impress the emperor, because that's what the emperor likes. I mean, just to have like a room full of, rotting, disgusting, severed heads from your enemies. I mean, it's that's the best gift possible. 1072, he was back in Bulgaria to pacify the revolt of Constantine Bodin, who was rebellion. When news got to Eastern Romans, Karantinos summoned the Strategoi under his command and departed from Bristania with his forces of mixed Bulgarian and Roman men. During his preparation for a military campaign, his successor, Duke Damian de Lessenos, arrived in October 1072 with imperial forces from Constantinople. Now, de Lessenos joined forces with Karantinos and immediately heaped insults on him and the other Strategoi and ran his great length, calling them all cowards, which is complete bullshit. So, you know, you get this little noble, rich, wealthy, powerful de Lessenos playboy um, trying to heap insults on Karantinos, which is obviously not a coward. And anyways, Delcinos dies later on and gets replaced by Nikephoros Karantenos as the Duke in there, so who gives a shit? So, going back. After marshalling his forces, Delcinos attacks the Serbs near Prizren, and there was a dreadful battle. And even more dreadful was the Romans were routed. So, there you go. They suffered heavy losses as well as many captured, including the Duke Delcinos, along with a man named Probatus and another named Longoborpolis, who was probably a Frank that was a mercenary for the Romans. The entire encampment was captured and everything inside was ransacked. Okay, so the Bulgarians openly proclaimed Vodinos as emperor after renaming him Peter, which is known as Constantine Bodin, after the Eastern Romans' defeat. Prior to this, Constantine followed another noble named George Vachi, who openly rebelled in the cities of Nis, Skopje, Kastrigia, and Prizren. which all fell to them. A Serbian leader named Petrilo with a large army was defeated near Castria by the magistros Michael Saranides. This caused panic in Voci's army, with many Bulgarians switching back over to the Roman side. So this Saranides defeated Bodin's army by setting an ambush in December 1072 and thus ending the revolt and reestablishing Roman control back into these areas. It is my opinion that Karantenos was killed in the Battle of Presren in 1072 and did not die in 1075, as one source is unable to confirm. He is not mentioned as one of the POWs, nor being permanently relieved of his command as Duke of Skopje. So this leads me to believe that Karantenos fell in battle. The blame of the Roman defeat was purely on the Duke Damian D'Alessano's shoulders, and not these other strategoi. Since he took overall command, and by the quick demise of the army, obviously he was probably commanding the center, he was unprepared to have his entire encampment surrounded and captured his forces, and they were slaughtered, with many captives taken. It was disgraceful for such an amazing strategoi who had defeated Arabs, Normans, Bulgars, and Serbs to be called a coward by this Delissinos and resulted in elimination of his forces and his life. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them. Thank you.